right, so for starters, can we get y'all name and what y'all do?
My name is Victor, and I am the co-founder and owner of Run the World Clothing. So I guess I'm a designer slash entrepreneur.
What's up? I'm Demont, other co-founder of Underworld Clothing. I guess what I do, I'm a utility man. I'm just put it like that.
How did the brand get started? Like, did the idea start with one person? Somebody put another person in, or did you all like come up with it together?
Yeah, so I'm trying to make the story short as possible. So I was back right when I graduated college, which is in 2012. I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do, and I had a mentor by the name of Kwame who kind of was like pushing me to expand what I was thinking I wanted to do. And initially, I wanted to go into education. I wanted to go back to school, get my PhD, and study African American studies. And he said he seen me doing more than that. And that spawned me really thinking about my passion. What was I really good at, and what did I like doing? And I landed on doing something in fashion, and he was super supportive of it. And from there, I went through this journey of trying to figure out what in this fashion I wanted to do. Initially, I started a blog. Then that spawned off to me actually doing styling for like people in the NBA and NFL, and then ultimately landed on me wanting to create a brand. And that's how I came up with Run the World as the brand. And as we got going with the brand, Demont being my best friend since we was in the third grade, I was like, "Yo, we got a clothing line now." And so I kind of deboed him because he was still in school after I graduated. And so I would just call him and tell him what I was doing. And then after a while, I was like, "Yeah, bro, we got a brand," and kind of deboed him into helping me. And he's been around ever since. So that's kind of how the brand got started.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool. I think I should debo more friends into things. That sounds real good. What does each graphic mean or symbolize of the brand? So, i.e., the light bulb, the lightning bolt, the flower. Like, what do each of those stand for?
Yep. So the flower represents the beauty of blackness. The thunderbolt represents the liberation of black folks. And then the light bulb represents knowledge, the knowledge of blackness and black folks in our history.
So I get why apparel. I know you say you started off with like styling people with the vlog or the blog. I'm sorry. Were you so definite on like apparel is gonna be my thing?
Yeah, so for me, I still wanted to do something in education. I know deep down in my heart, my life is about service, and particularly service to black folks. So I knew when I was creating a brand, I wanted to have some kind of meaning. And I knew I wanted to do something that was meaningful. And I was trying to wrap my head around how can I make some like apparel, like something so vain, like style and like apparel, how can I give it some meaning? And from there, I started thinking about the symbols that I initially used, which is still the main symbol around the world, which is Sankofa, which is an African and Dinka symbol, which represents the idea of looking back and fetching it. And the translation to the proverb is, it's not taboo to go back and fetch what you left behind. And so I designed the globe, the Sankofa bird with the globe in the center to represent looking back and giving back to the world. And the way you run the world is by looking back and giving back with your passion. And because my passion has always been in education, particularly around Black history, I decided to use the clothing as a vehicle to tell history of Black folks. And I wanted to do that because I worked in education pretty much outside of my job right out of college. It was all about education in some kind of shape or form. And I just felt like our traditional school system was failing us, and that there are different ways and more creative ways we can teach information. And I think that culture and clothing is something that we all have to wear, and we all use that in some way to express how we feel and what we feel. And I thought if I put messages that people could identify with inside of the clothes, and also messages that and visuals that may get people to start thinking about and talking about what the symbols were, that I would be doing my part in educating. And so that's why I chose apparel. I thought it was a way of using culture as a way to educate.
Now, Mr. DeMont, did you have any like reservations about being in apparel? Like, did you already was like stylish? You was like, all right, I'm gonna just go ahead. You know what I'm saying? I can flex in here. Or were you like, oh, I'm in another field. Do I have anything to offer, or can I really help with apparel?
Uh, yeah, for me, I would like to think that I've always been stylish in some form, um, and that's just I think that came from I was raised with four older sisters, and they were super heavy, in the clothes. I was real simple. For me, back when my mom had to buy us school clothes, I would literally get a white tee, some nice at the time like academics or Rockaware pants or something, and get some all white forces. And for me, that was a solid fit. I might pair it with a track jacket or something, but for the most part, I was just minimal. And I think back then, like hats were like the way you separate yourself when you were dressing, but essentially everybody was like white tees, jeans, and Nikes. So. I think that kind of got me into fashion, and I've always just been somewhat, fashionable. And then getting into clothes, just being able to try different things out. And then I think that now I'm able to just, find a piece that I like and then pair it how I want it and remix it. It's really funny because, we'll make clothes and stuff, and then Vic will wear it one way, and I can wear it a completely different way, and it still, be a popular fit to wear.
Where did you all come up with like the color scheme? Because you all have very retro colors. I know a lot of people are probably like scared to run with those browns and those yellows. So where did you all like get the idea like yo we need to be running with some retro colors or these colors fit like our brand?
Yeah, so it started with wanting to create a specific collection. So the specific collection that we created and that you're referring to is called the Black is Beautiful collection. And Black is an acronym for Black Liberation and Cultural Knowledge. And for me, I wanted to pay homage to the 70s. I remember my father always telling me um, how dope the 70s was for them. That's when he was in his 20s. So that's like, his coming of age time, like him being an adult. And they always like glamorized the 70s. And so I wanted to pay homage to that. And so with that, I was also trying to use like certain colors that I knew that folks would use in the 70s. And I went with like those muted colors, like those browns and those, earth tones and the bright like oranges and the bright yellows and like the tealish kind of color. So I kind of just use like the reference of the 70s and think like what colors will represent like this vintage retro 70s type of feel. And I always seen like brown in movies, and I know that was going to be like one of the main colors. And so that's kind of how we just came up with the color palette, and it's been a hit. So we've decided to kind of use it more.
For both of you, which piece in the brand would you say is like your staple? Like if somebody see it, they be like, yo, this really like Demont. Like I know he put his hands on it. He probably didn't, but like I could see like this is him.
Shit,
That's a good question.
I don't even know. I'm trying to go back in time too to see. Are you just talking about this black collection?
No, you could any piece of yours.
That's a hard ass question. I can give you my one of my favorite pieces if that counts. We made these parkas, and those were these green and red parkas. I have to find mine actually. Just thinking, I ain't wear that in so long. But yeah, we made these parkas that say "Run the World" in the back, and we made them in like army green with red writing. And that's probably one of my favorite pieces. And I think when we dropped those, that was really the first time, and those were probably our highest ticketed price items too. At the time, those were just flying off the shelves. No, people did not care what the price was, and for us, coming up, it's always a battle on being affordable, but also keeping the lights on. And when we dropped those, I think we dropped those for 150, and people were just buying those off the shelves, which was a good feeling.
Yeah, I think mine's always switches depending on what we're making. And for me, because I'm heavily involved in the designing of it, and because I have to go through iterations like with samples and stuff, I start wearing whatever it is that we make way earlier than everybody else just to test it out, make sure the quality is good, making sure the fit is good. So me and Demont switch off between that. So between like getting stuff new, and usually I would start like just ordering it for me kind of, and I had to make sure I started ordering it for him as well, so that he had something as well, because I was kind of selfish like that. But I would say for me I guess the piece right now for me is the flare pants with the thunderbolts on the side. So the with the flare on the bottom. I think those right now for me are the ones that's like represents like run the world, and like that's us. Like you don't see too many people with like flared out pants on the bottom. So I would say those are the ones. And anything, lastly, with like this print on there, with anything with this on there, like people know what time it is when we use all the print.
What has been the best part of owning the business for the both of you?
I think for me, it's kind of, I guess, the creation of what we want to do, going through the process to get it complete, and then watching it go full circle. So outside of clothing, we also do these experiences where we create activations that's around a certain theme, and we, invite people to come and experience the thing with us through the activation. So I think, um, and we're able to go out to the community and really, get people's reaction. At the of the clothing or the collection we drop, and it's been super fruitful for people to see people see that collection or see the work that we put into like building something, and then them experiencing it. So, and it's really, you'd see like these 90 experiences come up. I think they have a Stranger Things experience. It's really the Run the World experience that we got created, and we get to see people experience that in person in real time.
Yeah, I would I would say the best part. I'm kind of what he's saying, so I'm trying to find a different answer, but I guess I'm gonna talk it through. And I think that the ability to have a thought in my head and to be able to make it real and to have people receive it in a way that makes me feel good is an experience that I never want to give up, where I can just have a thought and then go with it and persevere through all the tough times of making it actually be real and manifested into the world. And once it's in the world and people receive it in ways that I wanted them to, or see things and feel things that I wanted them to feel, gives me like the ultimate, like I don't ever want to give that away. I don't ever want to get that up. And that's been one of the best things about having a brand. And then secondly, just, and not secondly in terms of like ranking, but just secondly, I think for me, it's very important to create something that serves our people and creating something that inspires, empowers, and gives voice to us as a collective. And when I say that, I'm saying Black folks around the diaspora, around the world. I think that for me is the best experience. So people like being excited, like thank you for making these clothes, or thank you for having this event, or thank you for like saying this or doing this. You start to feel like it's more than just about you. And it's more than just about the apparel. And it's about the people. It's about the collective.
What would you say is one tip you could give a Black entrepreneur?
Give someone who's starting their own like company.
Yeah.
I would I would say, and mine's going to be contradictory, but I guess once you're in it, it makes sense. I would say first tip would be, think about, I guess, long term what you really want to get out of the business, and so it can help you create those little steps, to get there. Celebrating those small victories too, and then the controversial part is sometimes you just got to do it. And then you learn, like, the biggest lessons you learn is like, through the failures that you have and through the successes that you get through it. So just doing it. Sometimes you think about it so much, then you overthink it and it never gets done. You just might have to do it sometimes. And once you do it, you'll really get your feeding together and figure out, who you are as that business owner and what your business is about.
I would add start with the why, because that's going to be what drives you and fuels you to persevere during those hard times, during those trying times. And if your why isn't strong enough, you will not last in whatever it is. So that's not just apparel, that's in whatever you want to do. If your why isn't strong enough, you will not last. So make sure that the why is as strong as it can be, because you're going to be challenged. Like there's no doubts about it. You're going to be challenged.
Well, thank you, fellas, for doing this interview with me.
Thank you for having us. Appreciate it.